Hey everyone, Kaylee here. So I posted my how to trim your bangs video last week and you guys were really interested in seeing a side bangs video. So today we're going to talk about side bangs. Now, side bangs are in some ways a lot easier and in some ways a lot more complex than normal bangs. They can be a lot easier to cut. They don't have to be as precise. However, there are 1,000,005 different ways to do it, so there's not like one standard way. So I'm gonna give you guys like the basic 101 cookie cutter way to cut side bangs, but do keep an eye on your stylist whenever she is cutting your bangs, he or she is cutting your side bangs, and make sure that it's at least similar to what I'm telling you to do today, just to make sure that you are recreating what they did accurately. So the biggest thing with side bangs is creating that angle. So you really want to have that angle that hits wherever you want it, whether it's up here at your eyebrow or here at your cheekbone or even just here at your jawline. And you do that depending on where your stylist normally places your side bangs. Side bangs are even more important to get done at the stylist than normal bangs because side bangs really depend on your hair type, and it really depends on your face shape as to where they should hit. And so you need a professional that's telling you that and, you know, deciding that for you. It's okay if you have to touch it up yourself, but just generally you should let a stylist decide where it should be for, you know, the first time. So once you already have that and it's grown out a little bit, you just want to ascertain where you're going to be placing that on your face. And then to create that angle, the most foolproof way to do it is to section out where your side bangs are, and that can be different on everybody, so just pull out those little short pieces that make your side bangs. Now you probably have a little part right up here, so what you're going to be doing is bringing the hair around so that it is perpendicular to the part. There's a lot of math involved in hair cutting, by the way. By doing this, you're creating that angled cut because when you bring it back over here, this is the shortest little layer and then this is going to be the longest layer. You can see how this is like bagging up. That's because if I were to cut it and let it down, it would be about this long, whereas the shortest ones are about this long. So it's a nice, easy way to create that angle without having to try to freehand it, because freehanding that angle is scary. You want to make sure that your fingers are in line with your part and you're going to cut along the line that your finger creates, and that is what helps to create that angle. Now you want to make sure that you're looking at this hair, and if this hair is not in line with your fingers, then you don't want to cut it in line with your fingers because it's going to create a different shape and a different angle than what your hairstylist did. So let's say that it makes more of an angle, because sometimes hairstylists will do that so that it's a more kind of subtle angle like this than a drastic angle like this. What you want to do is to pull your fingers out until they're in line with where your former hair was cut. So if you pull it over like this and your ends look like this, you just want to line your fingers up to that. And then to check on your length and to make sure that you're not going to make it too short, you just bring it back over to this side, and this hair under here, if you cut right underneath your finger, is going to be the shortest hair. So you just want to make sure before you start cutting that you bring it over and you're like, okay, yeah, that's how short I want it. And once you make sure that your fingers are in line with the cut already made by your stylist before, you're going to go ahead and use a point cutting motion like this to go ahead and cut the hair. That's going to create a less blunt look, and it usually helps the hair to kind of fall over and to lay a little bit more naturally. So then you just let go and see how they fall, and if they fall in a way that you like, if they're the right length, then you just leave them and they're all done. If they're a little bit too long still, you can pull them back over and trim them accordingly. A lot of times when a person has a side bang on one side, they also have a little like mini side bang on the other side, so you're going to want to repeat the same thing on the other side. So you're just going to comb that little section over until it's perpendicular with the part. Make sure that your fingers are in line with the guide that's already cut by your stylist, and then just cut into it and let it go, and you should be all done. Additional tips: make sure that your hair is dried and styled as you like it whenever you're doing this. So if they're really wet, then what's going to happen is when you dry them, usually they'll kind of jump up a little bit because your hair just kind of shrink up a little bit when it dries, and that could end up being too short, which would not look good. Also, if they're dirty, it might cause you again to cut them a little bit too short because it's going to be kind of like drugged down by all the oils and stuff in your hair. And if it's not styled the way that you want it, you might be unhappy with the way that it looks, but just because it's not styled. So just make sure that it's dry and styled according to the way that you like it, and then cut it. That will get you the more accurate picture of what you're doing with your bangs than if you do it any other way. My next tip is definitely cut it longer than you think you need to. Go a little bit longer by at least ½ an inch, and then just let it fall and see where it hits you. That way, if it ends up being a little bit off, you have some room to work with. If you cut it to right where you think it needs to be, and right where you think it needs to be is too short, then you're kind of stuck. So go ahead and give yourself a little bit of extra room to work with, and that can definitely ensure that you have a better experience at the end of the day. Tip, I hope it doesn't ever come to this, but if you make a mistake, go into the salon and let your stylist fix it. Because there are tips and tricks that the stylists know that I just don't even have time to tell you all about, and that can really help you. But you definitely want to make sure that you're letting a salon professional fix that rather than trying to fix it yourself, because you don't know all those things, you haven't been trained. And so if you make a mistake, go in and let your stylist fix it. My final tip is definitely, when you can, go into your stylist and let them trim your bangs for you. A lot of stylists either do it for free or just a couple dollars, so it's really not going to be a lot out of your pocket to do that, and you know that you're going to get those bangs that you love every single time. Now, if you don't have the money to do that, or you live really far away from your stylist or whatever, and you absolutely have to do it at home, these are the tips and tricks that will help you. Nevertheless, I hope this helps those of you guys who need to trim your bangs at home. I hope this made it a little bit easier for you, and I will see you guys in my next video. Mwah! Bye!